Hello, everyone. Today is Thursday, November 17th of 2022. We are convening the Tax Review Board here in Philadelphia. We have the entire board today, our chair, Nancy Cameradiner, board members Paula Weiss, Brian Boyer, George Matthew, and Dominique Ward. Please be aware that this is a public hearing and it is being recorded. Because the meeting is public, participants and viewers have no expectation of privacy. And by continuing to be in this meeting, you are consenting to being recorded. As we discussed, we are going to take case number 1. They have been here and they're in the room. We're then going to jump to case number 4, which is for Haverford Avenue. And then we will go then to number 3. And then we have phone hearings for 5 and 6. Nancy, please take it away. I'm going to go put the first petitioner in the room.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. As has been indicated, this is the Tax Review Board hearing for November 17th, 2022. The first item on our agenda is case number 1, which is for YM Property Management, LLC. Last 4 digits of the docket 6189, located at 100 South 55th Street. I believe Melissa is getting the representative for this property into the the testimony room. So pause for a moment.
I'm sorry, I was having some technical difficulties. Okay. Nancy, do you mind reading the docket number in again?
Okay, the docket number ends in 6189. Property address is 100 South 55th Street.
Yes.
Please identify yourself for the record.
Hi, Ziv Noah. I'm managing YM Properties.
Do you have to have something to identify your status with this, or are you an owner? I just want to make sure that we have a person testifying who is not in conflict or have any problem in terms of their.
Oh, no, absolutely. I manage the property. It's not my first time in a while, so I stopped carrying that with me for years already.
Okay.
It hasn't been a problem since. If that's something.
Okay. And when you say that, you mean with the Tax Review Board?
Yes, Tax Review,
Okay.
Water Department, LNI, everyone.
Okay, I guess we can accept that. Who has this matter for the city?
Adriana Gonzalez on behalf of the city. I would like to see some sort of documentation that the person appearing for the petitioner has the right to represent either YM Property Management or the representative of record, Joseph Meyer.
Okay.
Definitely email you one if you like. My office can take care of everything after this. I continue.
If you could be a little closer to the mic, your voice faded away. It was great at the beginning, but then it faded away.
Perfect. Whatever you want me to do, I just don't have it on me because I always come case to case. I'm almost every day, so I have my office take care of it that you like.
Email would be fine.
That'd be perfect.
If you could just email that to me as well, I can give you my business card and you can just email that.
That'd be great. Yeah, any email address, I'll just forward right to my office and they'll send you everything you need.
Okay.
So
Can we go forward with that?
that's what I was just going to ask. So would the city agree to let us go forward with the expectation that the documentation will arrive and that we won't finalize a decision on this matter unless and until we know that the person testifying does have that standing? Is that agreeable to the city?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Do you have anyone else testifying with you who might need to be sworn?
No.
No, excuse me, I was referring to the city representative at the moment.
Yes, Miss Katrina Whitaker.
Please identify yourself for the record.
Hi, my name is Katrina Whitaker. I am a representative of the Revenue Department.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
Yes.
Okay, fine, thank you. Do you have numbers for the record for us on this matter?
For the amounts that we're here for?
Yes, please.
Okay. The principal is $1,750. Penalties is $1,874.48. Interest is $1,194.50. And the total is $4,818.98.
And what years does this pertain to?
2010 through 2013, 2016 through 2022.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does the city have any opening comments, or should we be turning to the petitioner?
The city would like to hear from petitioner.
Okay, fine, thank you. Then if you would, please tell us why you're here and what it is you're looking for from this board.
So the property that we purchased on the YM property, we bought it in 2008, in 2019.
Sorry to interrupt. Can we have the petitioner sworn and have his name spelt for the record?
I thought I had sworn him, but maybe I didn't. Okay, please identify yourself for the record.
Yeah, Ziv Noah, I represent YM Properties.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
Yes, I do.
Okay, fine, thank you. Now, if you would continue. I'm sorry about that. I thought I had sworn you.
Okay. All good. So we, as YM Properties, we purchased a property in around 2019 and got the rental license for a 1 unit around 2020 early. It was no trash collection because it was always a 1 unit until we had a salon move in early 2020, which made it a 2 unit. I'm only going back as to the whole 2010 thing. It was a sheriff property. From my history of checking it, I only have 1 lease for 1 property. It was always vacant anywhere else other than 1 unit. I have the rental license for it. It's only around 2020, which I have the lease and the rental license, that it became a 2 unit. And since then, it was an issue that it's a personal issue with them that they were supposed to take care of their trash with a dumpster company. They never registered that company. We just did that recently now, and we fixed that. We also, I do have a payment for 21 and 22, so we took care of that as well. It's that gap that I'm trying to fix from before we purchased it. It just came up in our bill up to 2010, even though we purchased it in 2019. I'm just trying to fix and clear, obviously, that's my job, to make sure we fix and clear everything in that company now.
Any questions from board members?
I do. You're testifying that it was purchased at sheriff's sale. Did your sheriff's sale clear all of the outstanding liens or bills from the city?
So the sheriff's sale was 2010. That's why it goes as far as that.
You said you purchased.
We purchased 2019 from another company, from another LLC company. They gave me all documentations at the time. None of that bill came up with the city when we bought it. It just came up now because it was easy. They told me it was something about with the new system, as long as they don't have anything, they're going back from the rental license 2020, all the way back from the day that somebody purchased from the sheriff, assuming it was always 2 units, when it was always just one.
Don't worry about 1 unit or 2 unit. I'm just interested in whether or not, but you were not a purchaser at sheriff's sale, so you don't
No.
have. Okay.
But it does matter because a 2 unit becomes a refuse collection. If it's 2 units by law, by LNI, then I have the bill. So
Right,
the
but that has
bills,
nothing to do with the bill from before your time of purchase.
right. So regardless, I'm still applying to the fact, even if I can't attest to another company, it was always a 1 unit until 2020.
When you say 1 unit, is it an apartment or is it a business?
It was an apartment the whole time, and now when we bought it, we divided the first floor to a business, and they have their own service of trash collection. And then we have the unit on top, smaller, becomes just one little house, apartment, as opposed to the whole building as a 1 section rented. That's just the way we did it.
Okay, and when you purchased in 2019, was there a title search?
So it was title searched by a private company. It wasn't a title search that I can go and do anything about. That was my other issue, not mine. I just came in a little later, so that's why I'm going into it. I do have all the paperwork and documentation of that company, that it was 1 unit with the rental licenses and the lease agreement from the person, because we bought the house with the old tenant in it. We just kind of made an as-is deal at the time. a mistake, obviously, that I made him informed. That's why I'm the management. We will never do that again. I'm just trying to clean house at this point.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from board members? Hearing none, I'll turn to the city for the moment.
Yes, I do have a few questions for the petitioner's representative. Sir, you said that you had a title company do a search. Did you have title insurance?
I did not. That's the issue, that not mine. I really do. I will hate to put my name and reputation into it. It's the owner I represented after I took over this case, which that's the issue, that I have no one to go and complain to.
So the property was purchased with no title insurance, but a title search was done. Has there been an exemption filed for any of the years that you're claiming that you feel as though you're not subject to the refuse fee?
So the exemption, when I came to them, they told me there can't be any exemption done anything other than the current year. We fixed that this year with the bill that we paid for 21, 22. So we're covered 20, like the last year that I have an issue is 20, 21, 22, and 23 were covered. We fixed that. They don't let me go back. I have contracts of the dumpster company that was, collecting. That's the reason it's a second appeal. The first appeal was I presented that stuff. They just told me there's not much they can do because, it's something they should have exempt every year prior to the year. And they're right. That's the way that the city's doing. So they didn't help me with that.
And do you have any of those private hauler contracts with you today for any years that haven't already been?
I do not, because when I brought it the first time, he pretty much looked at it as like, I can't do nothing with it. I would have brought it if it worked for me the first time. I just brought you everything else but that this time. I can email that as well. If that's easier, I have that. If that's easier for you guys to see the private company that did the the dumping at the time, if that helps.
1 second. I do have it. I'm so sorry.
Perfect. I brought it last
didn't
time. Absolutely. Yeah,
So I have that 123 Dump LLC,
that's the company.
2019, 8/3/2019 to 8/9/2019. Then I have another one for 4/8/2010 to 4/14/2010. But it doesn't, I don't know. Maybe I'll, and then I have one that's 12/24 to 12/30. And then 1/7/19 to 1/13/19.
I assume my office only brought the contract in place for the bill.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big gap of the history of, I guess it was taken care of or exempt at the time. I only went according to the dates that we are referring to. And
I can send
unfortunately-
this over to everyone, if everyone would just give me a second to copy it.
Thank you.
1 second.
And unfortunately, I can't attest to anything in 2010 since I just have the contract from the company we bought that building from. I can only tell you what happened the last 3 years when I was in the office.
Is there anything we can continue with until the director comes back?
Yes,
Sure.
I'm sorry, can I just get the petitioner to spell his name for me?
Yes, ZIV first name, last name NOAH. If you have this paperwork, you may have also my my representation authorization. I'm feeling a little lucky since they have all copies.
When Melissa returns from sending out those files for us, we can ask her to double check that to see if there was something hidden in the last file. Just a comment for future reference, if you are coming here and you've been with the master, we really start fresh at the full board. There's maybe things in the office files, but this board doesn't know what's in those files, and we rely upon the petitioner who's here to tell their story.
This is my first time, so I learned something new.
Okay,
I
that's why I
appreciate
say, since we have had a moment there to check it, Melissa, or I guess we're getting the information from you that you were sending off to the board. Did you have anything else you wanted to add, or did you find in the file from the master's hearing anything about those earlier years?
No, I only have the 2 service agreements that were in the file.
Okay. Any other questions from the board for the petitioner?
Adriana, I also sent it to you.
Thank you.
I have a question to the city. Do you have communication with the taxpayers? Do you have, when did you start communicating with the taxpayers about this, this refuse tax? Was there any communication to the ex-taxpayer?
To the owner prior to the
Correct.
petitioner?
Yes.
I'm not sure, and I'm not entirely sure if that was something that is relevant to this particular matter.
Maybe you should
How to
have
know
your
what was
witness
going on.
testify.
Yes, I would like to have my witness.
Okay, are we at a point where we're ready for that? Or is there anything else that was pending? Okay, please go ahead with your witness.
Good afternoon, Ms. Whitaker. Did you have a chance to review this petitioner's account?
Yes,
Is there a refuse account for this property?
yes,
Was this account ever closed?
no.
And what type of property is this?
Residential mixed use.
Is this the type of property that's subject to collection fees?
Yes,
And has this petitioner submitted any private hauler contracts for the years in question?
no,
And is that obviously other than what was circulated here today?
yes,
Are there any licenses issued to the property for the years in question?
only for 2020 for rental.
Are there any use permits for the property?
Yes, there's one from 2014 for a daycare, and there's no other use permits after that.
Was any exemption filed by the property owner for the years in dispute?
No,
And has the petitioner paid any of these refuse fees?
what was paid was for 2021 was paid, and half of 2022.
And what years remain unpaid?
2010 through 2013, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and the second half for 2022.
And do the notes in our system indicate that the petitioner has ever been before the tax review board before?
Yes,
And when was that?
in January of 2016.
And what years did that cover?
That covered 2010 through 2013.
And so those years were already we have information that those years were already decided on by the board.
Yes,
Do you have a docket number?
yes, I do.
Thank you.
You want me to give it to you right now?
Yes, please.
Is do you just need the last 4 digits or the whole thing?
The whole thing, F14 ST.
Okay. Yeah, 14 STMERZZ 8158.
Thanks. I'll be right back. Okay.
And just a quick question. If there are 2 units in a property and one is vacant, is the property still subject to the fee?
Yes, because it depends on how it's coded by OPA. And it's been coded by OPA since 2013 as a residential mixed use.
May I add to that for a second?
No, you'll have an opportunity to cross this, examine
Okay.
this when the city is done.
Okay,
Good,
thank you. Just
Keep
wanted to
going,
ask.
Ms. Gonzalez.
I have no further questions for Ms. Whitaker at this time.
Okay, you are now able to cross-examine the city's witness.
Perfect. So what she was saying, because it was a mixed use, which it is, the zoning that you have from 2014, I believe you said, it was a daycare that occupied the entire property. It wasn't split. We only changed the zoning to a split 2 units in 2020. So we made it shorter and smaller and made 1 space for a house and 1 space for a commercial. When you're talking about, you're right, when one is vacant, one is a 1 unit, it's still refuse tax, but it was used entirely as a 1 piece. To my history.
I object to this. This is not a question for my witness. This is the.
Oh, okay. I was just getting a comment.
Testifying.
Okay. So 4 minutes a question, is that better?
Yes,
Okay, so my question is, if the property is occupied entirely by 1 person, which was a daycare at a time, does that make it a 1 unit rented, or does that make a mixed use refuse tax collection needed?
The only thing I can tell you about that is I'm going by what the property was assessed. And from 2013, it was assessed as a residential mixed use. And that's from the Office of Property Assessment. I'm not going by anything else but what's in the system. That's all I'm reading to you.
So my other question
This
is,
is Board Member Ryan Boyer. I want to ask the taxpayer, did you own the property in 2013?
we did not. I have just paperwork in history.
But how do you know what it was in 2013 if you didn't own it?
Because we bought it with a daycare, that it was just a 1 unit. We are the ones who actually
But
changed
you
it.
bought it, did you buy it in 2019, 6 years after 2013?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And I have also zoning paperwork having from 2014 that a daycare occupied the entire space, not just 1 unit. And it says clearly 100 South 55, not apartment 1, unit 2. It just says the entire property from 2014, a zoning permit that I have for 1 daycare, the entire space.
I
Well,
have
can
a
I ask you
question.
a follow-up question? Is a daycare considered a single family dwelling? Was that what it was being considered at the time?
Are
Are you
you
asking-
asking me?
No, I'm asking the petitioner.
Oh, okay.
So I assume from what I know is yes, it's just assumed it's a 1 space. If it's 1 commercial, there's usually no refuse tax. From other property, in my experience, that 1 unit as just 1 commercial does not have any refuse tax on it.
Yes, but the qualification for exemption is not necessarily how many units, but the type of unit that it's categorized at is what the city's testifying to. So a single family dwelling home would be exempted. So if you're telling me that a daycare was operating out of it, that would not be considered a single family dwelling home.
Additionally, I do want to bring to the board's attention that there is a prior adjudication on this property for the years of 2010 to 2013. There was a decision, it was with the prior owner, RB Property Management, and there's a decision rendered. Therefore, this case is considered prior adjudicated, and it is no longer in the jurisdiction of the board.
For the years that are dealing with 13 to up to 13, right?
10 to 13, correct.
Okay,
So
so
then
we're
it's- we have 18 to, what was it, 18 or 19 to
I
2021?
believe we have 16 to 22.
22.
Okay, so
remaining.
16 to 22 is that issue.
Correct.
And at that time, your petitioner, you owned it as of 2019, correct?
Yes, and it was a 2 unit from 2020 early. I have the leases and the rental license for that too, if you need that paper.
So what was it utilized for when you acquired it in 19? It was a daycare, correct?
It was a daycare used for, it's hard to explain because I mean, they just have licensing for daycare. They didn't own it. They didn't do anything about it. They just kept it as storage. There was no kids in it. We acquired it from another company. Obviously, that's the reason. So when we saw there was no potential use for it, we kicked everybody out of it and then just made it our own business. One is a salon now, and the other is an actual apartment. We
So your
divided.
testimony is today, as of 2019, when you acquired the property, a daycare was actually operating out of that space. prior.
Licensed daycare, but there was nothing there. It was a
Okay.
pretty, I call it a vacant, not used business. It was a closed business.
Got you. And city witness for the city, what was the categorization for the property as of 2016?
Residential mixed use.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Since we have now learned that there has been an adjudication for the 2010 to 13, could we revisit the numbers? Is it possible, Ms. Whitaker, to tease out what are actually the numbers, principal, penalty, interest for 2016 to 2022 only?
Hold on, let me calculate that because in our system, it doesn't.
Doesn't do that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, but that tells us more clearly what we're dealing with.
Okay.
Do you have the raw data in order to put that together?
Yes, I do.
Okay, I just wanted to double check. I knew you were looking for something and I thought I'd better ask before we all
No, I
waited
was
for you.
just going to subtract the top amount because for 2010 through 2013, there is no principal. It's just the penalties and interest that has to be adjusted.
Right.
And Ms. Gonzalez, if you have additional cross questions or whatever for petitioner or other information you want to present, we don't have to stop dead while Ms. Whitaker does the calculations.
Yes, thank you. I would like to point out that the city's regulations do not make a distinction for a small commercial enterprise or small commercial establishment that occupies the entirety of a property. So in the event that the petitioners testified there was a daycare in the property when they took ownership, that would be a small commercial establishment that is subject to the refuse fee. So even if there are 3 units, 7 units, it does not matter if they're, well, not 7 units, if they're between 2 and 6 units in a dwelling, the property is subject to to the refuse fee. If there's a small commercial establishment, the property is also subject to the refuse fee. It does not matter that there was a duplex, 1, 2, or 3 occupants in the property. Even one small commercial enterprise or establishment would subject the property to the collection fee.
Thank
For
you
the
for the
regulations.
clarification.
Appreciate it.
And have you had a chance to look at the documents that Ms. Andre sent over regarding private collection?
I had not, but I will look at them right now.
Just to see if those are acceptable in terms of carving out some of the periods since we're going to 2022. I think there was one for 2019.
Just
There's
for
an
clarification, that item that was transmitted was a service agreement for April of 2010.
Which is no longer in front of us, but there's an invoice. I haven't looked at all of it either, obviously, but I think there's also documentation for 2019, which is still.
Oh, okay. I haven't looked at it all either, but that was what came up when I first brought up the information that was just forwarded. I see there's also an invoice in here from 18 and another service agreement from 19. Okay.
Right.
Just for the record, in terms of what we got.
Those periods are in front of us.
So if I may, the contract, so 2010 is not relevant to this particular matter. The 2019 contract does not have a term. It says effective January 1st, 2019, but the term terminates automatically upon completion of services.
It's a unilateral agreement. So if the public service, once it's done, it's over.
Until we stop using them. I
Yeah,
assume.
exactly. It's a unilateral contract.
So they only have, I guess they're two months of invoices, 3 months of invoices relevant to this particular period.
City, would you like to identify which ones the invoice numbers are for the record?
For the record, I am looking at invoice number 6953, referring to 12/24, 2018 through 12/30, 2018. And then invoices number 7193, referring to 8/3, 2019 through 8/9, 2019. And invoice number 6987, referring to 1/7, 2019 through 1/13, 2019.
I just assumed that they brought selective ones and not everything. I'm sure we have everything if you want every invoice, if that's easier. We just brought the contract. I remember last time. I just brought example invoices, if I remember correctly. Because we get invoiced monthly from them.
City is simply seeking clarification for the record.
Okay, I was
As
there
it's-
was a
it's
question
in-
too. Okay, no problem.
The documentation is incomplete.
Have the numbers been computed yet for the time period?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, it has, I'm sorry.
and that is going to be from 16 to 22, or is it a later date than 16?
No, it's 16, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 22.
Okay. Not 21?
No, that was paid in full.
Okay. When you're ready, if you could give us the numbers, please.
Okay, the principal is $1,750. The penalty is $1,223.85. The interest is $800, and the total is $3,773.85.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Anything else from the city?
I have nothing further.
Okay. Any further questions from board members? Hearing none, are you ready to step aside to discuss a decision?
I am.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, if we could step aside then, and we'll be back. You stay in your locations. The rest, the board will step aside and come back as soon as we can with a decision or additional questions.
Nancy, everyone is back in the room.
Okay, fine, thank you. The board reached what I will call a preliminary decision. We know that we need to have some documentation that has been discussed along the way. And so we're going to take this matter under advisement and to allow the petitioner to have 30 days to provide the full documentation of their power of attorney, and also to provide any documentation that you have for the period in 2019 and 2020 when you've alluded to private hauler fees having been paid, so that we'd have either a contract or invoices that show that payment was made, or something of that nature, so that we would have the verification of those things that have been mentioned during the course of the hearing. Once we have those things within the 30-day period, we will formalize our decision. We have some things in mind, but we want to see the documentation before we would actually reach a final decision. Any questions?
If I
yeah,
can
just-
clarify, Mr. Noah, what we're looking for is documentation to establish that you had a private hauler contract in place for the full years 2019 and 2020, and that could be in the form of all of your invoices for each month for those years, or a letter from your private hauler contract to establish that the contracts were in effect for the full years 2019 and 2020.
So the ones that I already gave you are okay, you're just looking for 19 and 20 left, correct?
We're looking for the full year's worth of information. You gave us partials, an
Okay.
invoice here, an invoice there. We want to see that the entire year of 2019 and the entire year of 2020 were covered by private hauler contracts.
Absolutely.
And then if you could just email those to me, that would be great.
Got it right here.
Good.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much for coming in today. We look forward to getting your additional information, and then we'll be back to you with our formal decision once we have reviewed all of the materials.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Bye now.
Okay, I think we should do case number 4 next.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I was going to verify that with you. Thank you. Case number 4 is Laramie Realty. Last 4 digits of the docket, 6579. Property address is 7508 to 10 Haverford Avenue. Is the petitioner available on the phone? I think that's the way this was to be.
No, this is a virtual hearing. Mr. Schiffman is right here.
Oh, virtual. My apologies. I had the numbers mixed up on which one was virtual and which one was phone. Do we have someone available virtually?
Yes, I'm available virtually, and also my witness, Lieutenant Jill Connor, is also available. She'll testify briefly to confirm my representations.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. Please identify yourself officially for the record.
Yeah, my name is Jonathan Schiffman. My wife, Amy, and I are the owners of 7508 Haverford Avenue. It's under the name Laramie Realty. We're the two officers.
Okay. Are you an attorney or not?
I am an attorney, but I'm also the client.
Okay, so in this case, I think you need to be sworn.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
I do, yes.
Okay, fine, thank you. That does get a bit complicated. And who else will be testifying for this case?
Fire Lieutenant Jill Connor is my witness, and she's my tenant as well.
Okay, please identify yourself for the record.
Hi, my name is Jill Connor.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
Yes, I do.
Okay, fine, thank you. Who has this matter for the city?
Good afternoon, Adriana Gonzalez on behalf of the city.
Okay, and do you have any witnesses who have not yet been sworn?
No, I will be still using Ms. Whitaker as my witness.
Okay, fine, thank you. Then if we could have numbers for the record, please.
Yes, you can. This covers the years 2011 through 2018. The principal is $2,400. The penalties are $3,153.85. The interest is $2,235. And the total is $7,788.85.
Thank you. Does the city have any initial testimony to give, or should we be turning to the petitioner?
No, the city would like to turn to the petitioner.
Okay, fine, thank you. So then we'll turn to the petitioner. Please tell us why you're here and what it is you're looking for from this board.
Yeah, I'm here because I first received a refuse collection fee actually in 2019. We purchased the property on September 28, 2010. It was a former PNC bank that had been empty for a number of years. Finally, we were able to purchase the property September 2010, but it remained empty for approximately 4 years, specifically for the rest of 2010 in October, November, December. It was empty all of 2011. It was empty all of 2012. It was empty all of 2013, and it was empty half of 2014 from January to June. Finally, my listing realtor, Yentis Realty, who handles a lot of the commercial properties in Overbrook Park, connected me with Lieutenant Jill Connor, who's with the Philadelphia Fire Department, but she also had a daycare. She and her daughters ran a daycare a few doors down in Haverford Avenue. And Lieutenant Connor decided that she wanted this larger property. So I signed a lease with Lieutenant Connor on May 1st, 2013. However, no rent came in, no business was conducted. It took her 15 months until she started doing business because she had to do major renovations. She had to obtain approval from the city, from the state, and from L&I. And finally, the property started doing business as a daycare in September 2014. However, beginning June 12, 2014, Lieutenant Connor always had private contracts with trash haulers and recycling contracts. I sent them in, and you should have them as exhibits. Exhibit A was the contract with Boylan and Sons Trash Removal from June 12, 2014 through September 2018. And then that was my Exhibit A. My Exhibit B was her contract with Gold Medal Environmental, which began September 2018. And then the Exhibit C is another contract with Gold Medal Renewal for 24 months from January 4th, from January 1st, 2019 until the present time.
Excuse me
the
one
point
moment. You
is-
said you sent those pieces in so that our.
Yes, I sent them to
records should be-
Demetra Bennett had asked me to send them to her, and I did. Hopefully you have them.
I do not have them, sir. She
Oh.
did not put them in the file. Demetra works for my office and she did not put them in the file. Do you mind resending them to me, please? And I guess I also want to ask, maybe I'm preempting some of the board, but did you send them to the city?
In prior hearings, before they were continued, I did copy. I was dealing with, I think, Danielle Lavery from the city, and I did send her copies. But that was when the case was last listed, like a year and a half ago. I don't recall if I sent them to the city this time, but they're the same exhibits.
Representative,
I
for this,
can-
you have a
I
copy.
confirmed with Demetra Bennett last week that she did
do not.
receive them.
Okay. It's
Well,
not your fault. Mississippi, let me be clear, it's not your fault. We're just trying to track down where the city has had an opportunity to review these materials prior to the hearing. That's what we're trying to ascertain right now too.
Yeah,
If you could
there are
Demetra-
times that things go to the lower level reviews and don't make their way to the full board. So we need to track down where they are and may need to get new versions from you if we don't have.
I can send them out. I have them on my computer here, but
I'm gonna put my
I was
email
hoping
in
you
the
had them
chat.
before you.
No, if you could send them to my email in the chat, I can send them to the board, I can send them to the city. I assume Ms. Gonzalez does not have them as well. Ms. Gonzalez?
I do not have those documents. No.
So, Mr. Schiffman, we're talking about starting in 2013, when Lieutenant Connors first rented, that you're going to be sending us documentation for?
Actually, the contracts began June 12, 2014. Before that, the property was empty. Nobody was there. It had been empty for a number of years. It was sort of a blight on Haverford Avenue once PNC Bank left.
Did you ever file anything with the, I guess it would be the streets department to indicate that the property wasn't in use? And
No,
that
I
they
did
should
not.
be,
And frankly, that's the problem that I have here. I didn't know I was supposed to file exemption forms. If you look at the record, once I learned about this, I've been filing exemption forms since 2018. But I didn't know that I should have filed exemption forms because the properties were empty. And then I never got a bill or anything until I got this delinquency detail in 2019.
So just for clarification, from 2011, you're disputing 2011 to 2019.
That's correct.
And in
That's correct.
2018 is when you began to file for the vacant exemption form, but prior to that, you didn't.
Prior to that, I did not. I did not know I was supposed to do that.
You had a private hauler that was collecting trash during what period of time?
Lieutenant Connor will verify this, but the private hauler began June 12th, 2014. It was Boylan and Sons Trash Removal.
And how long did you have that hauler set up for?
That was set up from June 12th, 2014. It was ongoing monthly until September of 2018.
Okay, so it sounds like to me the periods are 2011 to 2014, no vacancy license. He did not know, he didn't have an exemption file. 2014 2015 to 2018, we have hauler receipts that we're gonna hear testimony from today. And then the 18 to 19 gap, which he's also disputing, there's no vacancy, or did you start filing a vacancy?
No, there was a new hauler that came in. Gold Medal Environmental took over for Boylan and Sons. That began in September 2018.
Okay,
And how long did that continue
Um,
approximately?
and that continued till January 1st, 2019.
okay. So the really only years really at issue, to the point that I think Board Member Weiss was trying to ascertain, is we're looking at from that 2011 of 2014, when there's no vacancy license actually filed or exemption. And we'll hear testimony from your witness in order to verify from 2014 to present, or 2019, that there was a private hauler.
Thank you.
Okay.
May I proceed? Or-
You can
Please
proceed.
do.
We just needed to clarify some of these timelines out because we don't have. the
Okay.
material. Thank you.
Please do proceed.
Lieutenant Connor, Jill, could you unmute?
Yes, okay.
All right. I've represented your profession. Can you just first of all, tell the board, besides being our tenant on Haverford Avenue, what else do you do for a living?
So I work at the fire department, lieutenant with the fire department, Philadelphia Fire Department.
Okay, all right. Now, you've been our tenant at 7508 Haverford Avenue since May 1st, 2000. Well, actually, your lease began May 1st, 2013. When did you start conducting business?
September of 2014.
And why did it take so long for you to start doing business after you signed your lease in May of 2013?
Right, so just renovating from the bank to the daycare. So the whole vault, the door had to be bolted, all of the safe deposit boxes had to be taken out, and just like a total remodel for the daycare, from a bank to a daycare, adding toilet, adding 2 bathrooms, and it was a lot of work that had to be done. So I was state certified by June of 2014, and I started the trash contract June 12th, 2014, and I opened or started taking enrollment in September of 2014.
Now, were you familiar with the property before you actually moved in as a tenant in 2014?
Right, so that was, I live in the neighborhood, I live right around the corner, and I bank with PNC Bank still. So that was the bank the branch that I used for banking.
And were you aware that the property had remained empty for a large number of years once PNC Bank left?
Yes, so it was vacant from the time PNC closed until I rented it, yeah.
And to your knowledge, did any other tenant ever move in that property besides you once PNC Bank left?
Nope, there was a lot of PNC stuff still left in there, and it was just a vacant, empty bank.
Now, would you state to the board specifically the trash contracts the trash removal agreements that you did enter into from the time you became a tenant of that property?
Yes, so in June of 2014, I started with Boylan and Sons. That was from 6/1/2014 to September of 2018. And that only changed because it was bought out by Gold Medal Environmental, or GME. So I had them from September of 18 when they took over, and I had that contract. It was a 60-month contract. And I stayed with them until October 8th of 2021. I did switch to Accurate Trash Company, and which is now Waste Management. These companies buy each other out a lot, it seems like. So, but I've always.
Was there ever a time since from the time you moved in that you did not have a trash removal contract?
No, I always kept a contract. I always kept trash removal.
And you had a daycare business before you moved in this property, is that correct?
Yes, so from 2008, June of 2008 until maybe 15. I didn't actually close it until 15, but I was just 1 block away in a much smaller building.
Was that on Haverford Avenue as well, in Philadelphia?
So the address I'm at now is 7508-10, and I was 1 block over at 7550.
Thank you. That's all I have at this point, and I'll have to get you the contracts again.
Do you see my email in the chat, sir?
I'm sorry.
My email is in the chat. Can you see it?
Um,
Or click chat?
yeah, let me click chat. Oh, I see it. Yes, I'll make a note of it now.
Thank
I mean, I could try to send it now, but I'm afraid I'm going to lose you. I'm not very good.
you. I understand. We can, I guess you could just send it to me after the hearing, based on whatever
Yes.
the board decides.
Does the
Melissa
city
C. Andre.
have any cross-examination for the witnesses?
Yes, I have questions for Mr. Schiffman.
Yes,
So you've confirmed that the property, when you purchased the property was vacant, correct?
that's correct.
Or you claim the property was vacant and you had no vacant property licenses, nothing.
No, I was just
And-
trying to get a tenant. But no.
Sure. And also the lease for Ms. Connor started in 2013.
The lease began 2013, but no business was conducted and no rent was collected for another 15 months.
Sure.
She
but
was
the-
renovating for 15 months from the time her lease began.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions for you, Mr. Schiffman.
This is Nancy Cameron. Did you ever contact anyone from the city in terms of the trash hauler contract to let them know that you were neither you nor your tenant had an active business there during all of that time?
I did not contact anyone from the city, no. I knew that she had told me that she'd be responsible and that for getting the private trash haulers, but I did not contact anyone from the city, no.
Then, Ms. Connor, did you ever contact the city to indicate to them that you, first off, weren't in business, and then once you were in business and had your trash hauler contract, did you notify them that you had a contract?
So the agreement with the first contract company, Boylan and Sons, part of the sale is that they said that they do that part. So I was unaware of if it was even an option for me to do it.
So you thought from what they told you that they were notifying the city so that the city knew that indeed there was a hauler contract, that that the person who was responsible for the use of the building did not need to pay the city that money. They were supposed to have already provided that from
Yes,
your
that
understanding.
Yes, the company Boylan and Sons.
What about later with the other contractors?
Well, because they were acquired, GME just kind of bought out Boylan, they bought out Boylan and Sons. So I was not aware that it was anything else that I would need to do in it.
So you assumed rightly or wrongly that that the company just traditionally did that you didn't need to make any take any affirmative action on that.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
I have a question. If I may.
Questions from any other board members?
I have a question, if I may.
Did you speak up for something from the city?
Yes, I have a question.
I could barely hear your
Sorry.
voice, so I wasn't sure.
Sorry, I have a question for Ms. Connor.
Okay.
When the original company was bought out, did you sign a new contract with GME?
I did, yes.
Okay. And did that contract have, to your understanding, all the same terms, or was it different?
Yeah, it was supposed to be the exact same. Everything was supposed to be the exact same.
Okay, I will wait for Mr. Schiffman to send me the actual contracts. And I have no other questions for Ms. Connor.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from board members?
I would just like to note that Mr. Schiffman has already provided these materials to the city based on his testimony. So this is not new information. The city just is not unable to locate it right now. Because I feel like the tone is as if he's making misrepresentations, and it's like he's provided it. It just, for some reason, did not transfer appropriately. I'd just like to make that note.
I did not intend to have any sort of tone in that sense. I just have not been able to, the person to which those contracts were sent no longer works for the city. And I do not have access to their email or anything of that sort. So I have not seen them, and would like to see them and would love to have seen them beforehand because it would have possibly.
Right, so let's move this along then, so we can not take up too much more Mr. Schiffman's time, I guess.
Right. Just to confirm, besides sending them to Miss Andre, should I be copying everybody, or Miss Andre, will you disseminate them?
I will disseminate them in 2 seconds.
If I can think of a way to do this, I'll get it to you now.
That's what she's doing. Once
No.
you send it to her, she has our distribution list and she sends it out to everyone who needs to know.
If we take a break, I can probably send it to you right now. I mean,
Okay, how about this, Mr. Laramie? Ms. Gonzalez still has to put her case on. You could just easily close this window and open up your email.
okay, that's fine. I'm gonna reduce you.
Okay. Do we need to take a pause for people to take a look at that material?
No, I haven't received it yet, Nancy.
Oh, you
Ms.
haven't
Gonzalez,
received it
I
yet.
think
My
you should-
apologies.
You know, and we're probably gonna need a little bit more time to look at it anyway, so I'm not sure it's even worth doing it this minute,
In this moment. Yeah,
because we're gonna still need to look at it, and Gonzalez is gonna need to look at it, so why don't we finish up the testimony, whatever the city's case is, and then we'll let Mr. Schiffman, so that he doesn't miss any of this. He can
Hold on,
send it to us when the hearing is over. And we'll deal with it.
Okay, so basically, once the hearing ends, I'll send it off to you then?
yeah,
Yes.
that's fine.
Yes, so that you, I don't want. him to have
That's a good plan.
a presentation in case he has something he wants to respond to.
All right, but basically, my testimony that the property was empty from the time I purchased it, I'm just relying on I don't have any written documentation except the oral testimony of my client and my word as an officer of the court that the
Oral
property was
testimony,
empty.
you know, oral testimony is often sufficient. What we're most interested in is the whole or contracts to establish.
Okay. All right, I'll have that to you shortly.
Does the board need to step aside for anything in terms of direction on what is going to happen after today's hearing?
Yes, I would like to step aside, Nance.
We haven't heard the city's evidence.
Oh, yeah, oh.
And
my
the city has to
apologies,
put
I
on
thought
their
we were
case. She
from
has an
them
opportunity
earlier.
to refute what's been
I'm
stated.
sorry.
Yes.
It's okay.
Ms. Gonzalez, please proceed forward with your case in chief.
Thank you. Ms. Whitaker, have you had the opportunity to review this petitioner's account?
Yes,
And is there a refuse account for this property?
yes,
Was that account ever closed by anyone?
no,
What type of property is this?
commercial,
And are commercial properties subject to refuse collection fees?
yes,
Has the petitioner submitted any private hauler contracts for the years in question?
yes.
Which years?
Not for the years in question, but yeah, so 2019 and 2020 and 2022, exemption was given and approved for private hauler.
Are there any licenses issued to the property for the years in question?
No, actually,
There's no rental license.
not under the realtor company who owns the property. There is no rental license.
Okay. And are there any use permits for the property?
Yes,
What for?
for a childcare facility in 2013. It was issued in 2013.
Has any exemption been filed by the property owner for any of the years in dispute?
Only for the ones I mentioned, 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022.
And were those approved?
Yes,
And what was the reason for those exemptions?
private hauler.
Has the petitioner paid any of the refuse fees that are outstanding?
No,
And what years remain unpaid?
2011 through 2018.
And For properties that for properties that do not have vacant property licenses, are those still subject to small commercial enterprise fees?
Yes.
I have no further questions for Ms. Whitaker.
Any board members have questions of the city regarding their testimony?
Mr. Schiffman, any cross?
No, really, no cross-examination. The facts are what they are.
Ms. Gonzalez, is that your case?
Yes, that is everything. Thank you.
We want to step back now?
Okay, if everyone can just hold tight.
And Miss Andre, I'll send you I'll try to send the materials now. Ms. Gonzalez, I just sent off the contracts to Melissa Andre, so hopefully you'll get her shortly.
Thank you very much, and I really
Okay.
appreciate you sending them again.
Yeah, sorry, I sent Danielle Lavery everything like a year ago, and
Yeah, she left the city, and there's so many of these cases. It's sometimes
Yeah,
they
yeah.
slip through the cracks.
Just waiting for Nancy to come back.
Okay.
All right, Nancy, everyone is back.
Okay, fine, thank you. The board has reviewed the material we've heard, and we have a basic decision to present. I will give the intro to it, and if any of my fellow board members have things to add, please do. We're indicating that from the period in 2010 through 5/2014, that there should be payment of principal only because there was no hauler contract during that time period. From 6/14 through 2018, that the bill should be abated due to the private hauler contract being in existence. Have I left anything out that other board members feel need to be part of the record? Hearing no one.
Brian Boyer, I concur.
Okay.
Paula Weiss, I concur.
Dominic Ward, I concur.
George Matthews, I concur.
And Nancy Camerediner, I concur. You'll get a letter from us that spells out our decision. Both sides do have the right to appeal to the Court of Common Pleas within 30 days of the date of our letter. I'll assume for the moment that neither side's going to choose to appeal, and if that proves to be the case, then shortly after that time period elapses, arrangements should be made to make payment to the city for the items that remain. That could be done, of course, in a total or with a payment agreement that's entered into with the city. Any questions?
Yeah, well, I received an invoice from the city, or can you give me the figure that that's owed for the principal?
You should get an adjusted bill following the tax review board letter that comes out that will say tax review board bill.
You'll
Okay,
get a letter from us first, and then about 30 days later, you'll get the bill.
okay, that's fine.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us today
Thank you.
and for helping to resolve the details of this matter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next case?
Okay, let's see, the next case is number 3.
Great.
Nakia Coffee Anderson. Last 4 digits of the docket 6311. Property address is 1227 Passmore Street. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Please identify yourself for the record.
Hi, yes, I'm Nakia Cuffy Anderson.
I could not hear your name as you pronounced it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nakia Cuffy Anderson.
Okay, thank you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth with everything that comes before the board?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Who has this matter for the city?
Adriana Gonzalez on behalf of the city.
And do you have the same person with you this time, or do we need to swear a new party in?
I have the same person. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Could we have the numbers for the record, please?
The only number I have is for the year 2020, penalties $40.54.
That's all you have on the record?
Yeah, because the property was sold
Oh,
in
okay, that's
2022.
when in?
In 2022, it was sold. There's new owners on for this property.
What happened between 20 where this penalty remained on the record and it was sold? Were payments made for that time period in 21?
Payments were made. It was, yes, payments were made in 2022 to pay off the refuse.
Pursuant to the sale.
Yes, I guess by a title company.
Let's turn to the petitioner then, and perhaps she can explain what the situation is from her perspective on this, because right now it would appear that the only potential outstanding liability would be this penalty amount from 2020.
Well, there's also a standing question.
Yes. Yes, the city also objects to the petition, to the person that appears before us for today, Ms. Goofy Anderson, for testifying because she is no longer the owner of the property and therefore does not have standing.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was forgetting about that part. I was just trying to get an explanation of what happened back in that time period.
I think the city raises a valid point.
Yeah, Ms. Anderson, since you have sold the property, is our understanding and knowledge that you don't have authority to represent the property anymore unless you have something from the new owner giving you authorization to speak on behalf of any bills outstanding for the property?
No, I don't. This was in reference to the fee that was paid and what was actually owed at the time.
No, we understand that, but and that's the second issue, is that it's paid and there's nothing due. But is it true that you no longer own the property?
That's true.
Okay, was this bill paid pursuant to the sale?
Yes, it was.
Was there any agreement with the new owner that you would have authorization to seek, at this point, a refund of this money?
No.
Okay, then I'm not sure we can go.
What was your understanding here? Did you think that there was anything that was going to be owed to you, or that you had to resolve any issue going forward? I'm just wondering why you are here today.
Yes, so I was before the review board previously. Concerning the trash collection fee. And the last time I was before the review board, the board had basically dismissed all the penalties and informed me that I was responsible for half of the actual fees, which came to like $2,000 or something. But also at the end of that, I was informed that I had 30 days to appeal the board's decision. And I did that. So that was over a year ago. And I was awaiting a court date before I even thought of selling the property. I was awaiting a court date, and but in the process, there were fees that were being attached to the property. I don't know if that, because at the time of the sale of the property, it was like $8,000 that I paid, a little over $8,000, which I was waiting for this to happen for over a year, and I had submitted the paperwork in a timely fashion, which was before the 30 days. So I don't even know where the fees came from. So at most, I would have owed the little over the $2,000, which was the board's decision. But because the property was being sold, I had to pay reflecting as the bill, but that wasn't.
So I'm sorry, I'm just gonna jump in very quickly. My name is Melissa Andre. I'm the executive director. When you had a master level hearing in September, in August of 2021.
Yes.
The decision of the master at the time was to abate 50% of the interest, 100% of the penalty, and reduce the principal amount by 50% for a certain period of time. That decision would only last for 30 days after the Department of Revenue sent an adjusted bill. However, that decision went away when you appealed the decision to the board.
When you say it went away, I'm not sure I understand what that means.
It's
So the offer that you receive from the master is an offer. You can either accept or you can reject it. When you decided to appeal to the board, you rejected that offer. And as a result, it's no longer valid. And as a result, we're starting from scratch here before this tribunal. And the concern that the city is raising is because in the process of you rejecting it and not taking the offer, at this time, you no longer have standing to adjudicate this matter because you no longer own the property. And I don't know how you're going to overcome that absent having some type of power of attorney today that allows you to basically try to argue this bill.
Okay, so the notice was sent I just received the notice to appear before the review board, I think like maybe a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
The property was sold in July.
But we would not know that.
We wouldn't have known that. That's not something that would have come across our desk to notify us to say, hey, this property no longer belongs to this individual.
Okay.
The only way we'd have known is if you would have notified the executive director, Ms. Andre, or even the city, Ms. Gonzalez, the representative, to let them know this prior to this hearing.
Okay, I understand that.
Anything you can add or explain to us on that matter?
Well, again, because this matter is, like I said, it took over a year for me to even get a notice to appear before the board. And again, I was unaware that because I had put in an appeal, I thought if I appealed it, then everything was on hold until I reconvened in front of the board, I guess if I'm using the word right. So I had no idea that meant I went back to the original agreement.
You mean the original bill?
Yes.
Okay. Do you feel like you can possibly get a power of attorney from the new owners in order to try to argue or adjudicate this matter, or the answer is no?
No.
Okay.
All right, so the board needs to have a discussion?
Yes, we do. We need to step back. And I'm guessing the city maintains the argument that there's no standing and would not like to proceed forward. Is that correct?
Correct. And furthermore, there is no longer any amount due and owing during the period in question. So this could at best be marked no action needed.
Okay, thank you for that perspective.
And the bill that's on record, the $40.54 is now the responsibility of the new owner, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Just wanted to be clear.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, if everyone can hold tight. Waiting for Nancy. Where is she? Oh, Nancy, everyone is back.
Okay, fine, thank you. The board's discussed this matter, and it's our conclusion that this petition should be denied for lack of standing. You'll get a letter from us that spells out our decision. Both sides do have the right to appeal to the Court of Common Pleas, but I'll assume for the moment that neither side will appeal, and it would appear then that there would be no further activity that would be permitted from the city side unless the city has any further position on that.
This is Paula Weiss, I concur.
Dominic Ward, I concur.
Ryan Boyer, I concur.
George Matthews, I concur.
And Nancy Cameradiner, I concur. So you'll get that letter from us within the next couple of weeks, and unless there's an appeal of some sort, I would
You'll have
say
30
that
days
this
to
ends your
appeal to the Court of
activity with
Common
this.
Pleas.
I'm sorry.
Nancy, you forgot. She has 30 days to appeal our decision to the Court of Common
Well,
Pleas.
I had said that initially.
Oh, okay.
There's nothing further from today's hearing unless there's something I've forgotten to mention. Thank you for coming in, and we hope that you can resolve any outstanding issues you have with the city by a private conversation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, guys, we have one more case left. I'm just going to give them a call in hopes that they pick up the phone.
Okay, it's actually two cases together, 5 and 6. And the petitioner is, I'm sorry, do you need to do something first?
Call them. 1 second.
Okay, call them on the phone. Okay. That's right, it's a phone conversation. Not getting through?
No, they did not pick up, but I'm gonna try one more time. Don't have any dial tone. 1 second.
Did they know to expect a call later than 2 o'clock?
They requested a phone hearing. I tried calling them twice earlier today to explain how the phone hearings work. I was unable to. I left 2 messages.
Oh, okay. Maybe they've forgotten that we exist.
I don't know if you guys can hear it. It's ringing.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 267-252-0050 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hello, this message is for Joanne Downing. This is Melissa Andre calling from the Philadelphia Tax Review Board. I'm calling in regards to your hearing that was scheduled today. I left you a message earlier regarding being available between the hours of 2 and 4 for these hearings. We are trying to call you to have them. Please give us a call back at your earliest convenience. We'll be waiting for the next, I guess, 5 minutes. Thank you. So perhaps we wait till 3:45, and then if the person does not call us
Okay.
back.
And if we don't hear back, we deny it for failure to appear?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, so we're take 5.
Let's take 5. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. See you shortly.
Nancy? It's been 5 minutes. Ish.
Okay. Is everyone else back?
I see you, well, I don't know. Hold on.
It's hard to know with a couple of them. They're muted, so we don't know.
Our court reporter is back, which I think is the most important person. But George is back, Paul is back, Ryan's face is here, and Dominique is back too.
Okay, fine. Sounds like we are ready. to go
Ryan's
then.
here, Ryan, more than Ryan's face is here, Ryan's here.
Thank you, Ryan.
We have provided the amount of time that had been notified to the phone petitioner. And they have not returned the call and have not acted. Is there any additional thing, are there any additional things we should take into account from the city's perspective before the board actually makes a decision?
When we return from break, we'll get started with our security.
No, the city is ready for a decision.
Okay, board, do you need to step aside or can we discuss it openly here?
My only question to Ms. Andre is whether this is the first listing in front of the board?
No, this is not the first listing. It was listed back in June of 2021, and the petitioner had requested a continuance then. So this is the second continuance.
The second potential hearing.
Yeah.
Second.
And she was notified.
Failure to
She was
appear.
notified earlier today of the acceptance of the phone hearing and did not respond to that call, nor has she responded to your call from a short time ago. Is that correct?
So it's a denied for failure to appear?
Correct.
I don't know if we want to say anything more.
No, denied for failure to appear. I concur.
George Matthews, I concur.
Dominique Ward concurs.
Nancy Cameron, I concur.
Paula Weiss concurs.
Okay, I believe that's the last item on our agenda today, unless someone else has something that I'm unaware of.
Pardon, was number 2 continued?
Yes, previously by the board.
Thank you.
That was before today's hearing started. Sorry about that, but I think I did read it into the record as having been continued.
And for the board members, since I have you all here, doesn't need to be on the record, Stacy. I think we're done. Nancy, can you close it out? I just want to.
Okay. Thank you all. This hearing is adjourned.
For the board members, so we may not have board on the 29th. I'm getting indications from the city that day might be a smooth day. So just look out for my emails regarding Tuesday's hearing.
So do we have a hearing on the 22nd, but none on the 24th or the 29th?
I apologize. There are no hearings on the 22nd. There are no hearings on the 24th. You will be hearing from me about the 29th.
Oh, okay. So nothing next week.
Nothing next week at all.
Nothing in November at all? Is that what you just said? Or just the 2 next week?
Nothing next week at all.
Okay, that one I got
We'll be
clear.
back in December. That's it.
No.
Thank
There might be one November 29th.
You shouldn't have
Okay,
started
that's-
November
I
29th.
should not have done it. I did it all wrong. I'm gonna send it to you tomorrow, clarifying it for everybody. I'm sorry. But just know there's no hearings next week.
Happy
No hearings next
Thanksgiving,
week.
everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
That will be our mantra.
Thanksgiving.
No hearings
Thank you.
next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Have a good
Have a
holiday.
good Thanksgiving, everyone.
Bye.
We'll
Bye.
see you sometime
Bye.
thereafter.
Why can't I end this?